The sun was just beginning to set as I drove down the narrow, overgrown path that led to Silent Manor. My decision to move here had been impulsive, fueled by a desperate need to escape the chaos of city life. The Manor, an imposing structure with its weathered stone facade and tall, shuttered windows, stood silently against the fading light. There was something both alluring and unsettling about it, a promise of solitude wrapped in mystery. As I approached the large, creaking gates, a chill ran down my spine. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a reminder that this place had been abandoned for years. I parked my car in the gravel driveway, the sound of crunching stones echoing eerily in the stillness. Taking a deep breath, I grabbed my keys and stepped out, the gate swinging open with a reluctant groan. The front door was slightly ajar, inviting me into the darkness beyond. Pushing it open, I was greeted by the grand, yet decaying interior of the manor. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light that pierced through the broken windows, casting long, haunting shadows across the room. The air inside was cool and still, carrying whispers of the past that seemed to linger in every corner. I moved through the entrance hall, my footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust covering the wooden floors. Portraits of stern-faced ancestors lined the walls, their eyes seemingly following my every move. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional distant drip of water and the subtle creaks of the old house settling. Each room I entered held its own secrets, from the grand staircase that spiraled upwards into darkness to the library filled with forgotten books and faded maps. Setting up my temporary living space in what had once been the study, I began to unpack my belongings. The large desk, though covered in dust, still held an air of elegance. As I arranged my things, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. Shadows seemed to shift at the edge of my vision, and faint sounds echoed through the halls. Soft footsteps, barely audible whispers that vanished when I turned to listen. Night began to fall, and the manor transformed under the cover of darkness. The once welcoming house now felt like a labyrinth of secrets and unseen presences. I lit a single lamp, the flickering light casting eerie patterns on the walls. Sitting at the desk, I tried to focus on organizing my space, but my mind kept drifting to the stories I had heard about Silent Manor. Tales of unexplained disappearances and restless spirits that never found peace. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, the manor seemed to settle around me, embracing me in its silent, brooding presence. I couldn't help but feel that my arrival was the beginning of something much larger and more sinister than I had anticipated. The house was alive with its own history, and I was about to uncover the mysteries that lay hidden within its walls. Little did I know, this move was not just a quest for solitude, but the first step into a journey that would test my courage and sanity. Silent Manor was more than just an old house. It was a gateway to the unknown, and my story was only just beginning. The morning sun streamed through the cracked windows of Silent Manor, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow across the study where I had spent the previous night. Despite the beauty of the dawn, a lingering unease settled over me. Determined to make sense of the strange occurrences, I decided to delve deeper into the manor's history. As I began exploring the house, I found myself drawn to the library, a vast room lined with towering shelves filled with dusty books and forgotten tomes. The air was thick with the scent of aged paper and leather, each book seeming to hold secrets of its own. I carefully selected a few volumes, hoping to uncover any information about the manor's past inhabitants. Behind one of the bookshelves, a hidden latch caught my attention. With a mixture of curiosity and caution, I pressed it, and a section of the wall slowly swung open, revealing a small, dimly lit room. Inside, stacks of old documents, yellowed newspapers, and faded photographs were neatly arranged on a wooden table. It was clear that someone had meticulously preserved these artifacts, perhaps in an attempt to keep the manor's history alive. I sifted through the papers, uncovering a series of diaries belonging to the manor's last resident, Eleanor Blackwood. Her elegant handwriting filled the pages, detailing daily life in the manor during the early 20th century. At first, her entries were mundane, describing social gatherings, household routines, and the beauty of the surrounding gardens. But as I read further, the tone of her writing shifted dramatically. Eleanor began to document strange occurrences, whispers in the night, objects moving on their own, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Her words conveyed a growing fear, hinting at something sinister lurking within the manor's walls. One entry stood out, dated the night before her disappearance. Asterisk, the shadows grow restless, and the silence is broken by voices that speak of sorrow and rage. I fear the manor itself is alive, holding on to secrets that should remain buried. Tomorrow, I must find a way to uncover the truth or risk losing my sanity. Asterisk, as I continued reading, I discovered that Eleanor had been searching for answers, much like I was now. Her investigations led her to the same hidden room I had found, suggesting that she had hoped to preserve the manor's history and perhaps find a way to quell the restless spirits she encountered. Among the photographs, I found a portrait of Eleanor standing in front of the manor, her expression serene yet tinged with sadness. Another photo showed a group of people gathered in what appeared to be the grand ballroom, their smiles masking an underlying tension. One image, however, sent a chill down my spine. A picture of a dark figure standing ominously in the doorway of a room, barely visible but undeniably present. The deeper I delved into Eleanor's diaries, the more I realized that the manor's history was intertwined with tragedy and unexplained phenomena. Each entry revealed more about the lives of those who had once called Silent Manor home, their joys, their sorrows, and the dark secrets that ultimately led to their downfall. As the day progressed, I felt a growing connection to Eleanor and the others who had lived here before me. Their voices seemed to echo through the corridors, guiding me towards the answers I sought. Yet, with each discovery, the atmosphere in the manor became heavier, as if the very walls were closing in, urging me to uncover the truth before it was too late. Determined to honor Eleanor's efforts, I decided to continue her work, piecing together the fragmented history of Silent Manor. Little did I know, each step forward would draw me deeper into a web of mystery and fear, testing my resolve and pushing the boundaries of what I believed was possible. The echoes of the past were not just memories. They were a warning, and I was beginning to understand that some secrets were better left untouched. As night fell once more, the manor seemed to breathe with life, the shadows lengthening and the whispers growing louder. I knew that uncovering the truth was essential, but with every revelation, the line between reality and the supernatural blurred, leaving me to wonder if I would ever truly escape the grasp of Silent Manor. As dusk settled over Silent Manor, the golden hues of daylight began to fade, replaced by the cool shadows of evening. I spent the afternoon continuing my exploration, driven by the discoveries from Eleanor's diaries. Each new piece of information deepened the mystery, but also seemed to stir something restless within the manor. By early evening, I decided it was time to settle into my temporary living space in the old study. The large desk, now partially cleared of dust, stood as a silent witness to countless untold stories. I arranged my belongings methodically, trying to impose some semblance of normalcy in the midst of the manor's eerie presence. As twilight gave way to night, I felt a growing sense of anticipation mixed with unease. I prepared a simple dinner, the clinking of utensils echoing softly through the empty halls. The manor, though vast, felt increasingly claustrophobic as night enveloped it. With my meal finished, I sat by the window, the dim light from my lamp casting long, wavering shadows across the room. The manor seemed to breathe around me, the sounds of the night filtering through the thick walls, rustling leaves, distant animal calls, and the occasional creak of settling wood. As I began to review Eleanor's diaries once more, my mind wandered to the stories she had chronicled. Her words painted a picture of a house haunted not just by spirits, but by the weight of its own history. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that unseen eyes were tracking my every move. Shaking off the unease, I focused on the task at hand, hoping to uncover more about the manor's past. The hour grew late, and fatigue began to settle in. I decided to call it a night, hoping that sleep would offer some respite from the manor's oppressive atmosphere. I turned off most of the lights, leaving only the lamp on the desk to guide me. As I prepared for bed, the silence seemed to thicken, pressing in on all sides. Lying in the large, antique bed, I tried to relax, but the manor had other plans. About an hour after midnight, a faint whisper reached my ears, barely audible, yet undeniably present. I sat up, straining to listen, but the whisper faded as quickly as it had come. My heart raced as I convinced myself it was just the wind playing tricks on me. Minutes passed in tense silence until the whisper returned, slightly louder this time. It was a soft, melodic murmur, almost like a lullaby carried on a gentle breeze. The sound seemed to emanate from the walls themselves, wrapping around me in a cocoon of eerie tranquility. I pulled the blanket tighter around me, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. Unable to ignore it, I decided to investigate. Grabbing a flashlight, I moved cautiously through the darkened hallways, the beam cutting through the thick shadows. Each step felt heavier, the manor's silence amplifying every minor sound. The whispering grew louder as I approached the grand staircase, its haunting melody guiding me upward. At the top of the stairs, I found myself in a long corridor lined with closed doors. The whispers seemed to flow from behind one of them, a door at the far end of the hall. My pulse quickened as I approached, the air growing colder with each step. I reached out to push the door open, but it resisted, as if held shut by an unseen force. Determined, I tried again, applying more pressure until the door finally gave way with a reluctant creak. Inside, the room was bathed in a faint, otherworldly glow. The source of the whispers became clear. A large, antique mirror stood against the far wall, its surface shimmering with a spectral light. I approached it cautiously, the whispers now forming distinct words that sent chills down my spine. "Welcome home," the voice seemed to say, the words echoing softly in the confined space. I stared into the mirror, expecting to see my reflection, but instead, the glass rippled like water. Images flickered within, scenes of past gatherings, laughter, and sudden moments of fear and sorrow. Faces of people long gone appeared briefly, their eyes filled with a silent plea. A sudden movement caught my attention. From the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow detach itself from the wall, moving independently of any light source. My breath hitched as the shadow approached, taking on a more defined form, an indistinct figure with outstretched arms. It reached out towards me, and I felt an overwhelming sense of sadness and longing emanate from it. Panicked, I backed away, but the door slammed shut behind me, plunging the room in a darkness save for the mirror's eerie glow. The whispers intensified, now a cacophony of voices overlapping in desperate tones. I fumbled for the door handle, pulling and pushing with all my might, but it remained firmly shut. The presence in the room seemed to grow stronger, the air thick with an unseen tension. Desperation set in as I realized I was trapped, the manor's spirits holding me captive within their spectral domain. I remembered Eleanor's diary entry about finding a way to uncover the truth, but in this moment, all I wanted was to escape the oppressive atmosphere and the relentless whispers. Summoning every ounce of courage, I focused on the mirror, willing it to show me a way out. The images in the glass began to shift, revealing a hidden passage behind the mirror. With a surge of hope, I reached out, touching the surface until it rippled and parted like water, creating an opening. Without hesitation, I stepped through, leaving the room and the haunting whispers behind. The passageway led me to a narrow corridor, dimly lit by flickering sconces that cast unsettling shadows on the walls. As I hurried through the passage, the manor seemed to resist my escape, doors slamming shut and the ground trembling beneath my feet. The whispers followed me, growing fainter as I pressed onward. Finally, the corridor opened into a small, dimly lit room that resembled an old study. Exhausted and shaken, I leaned against the wall, trying to steady my racing heart. In the center of the room stood an antique clock, its hands moving in reverse. The room felt less oppressive, the whispers reduced to a distant murmur. I took a moment to catch my breath, realizing how close I had come to being trapped by the Manor's dark forces. The experience left me more determined to uncover the truth behind Silent Manor, but also acutely aware of the dangers that lay ahead. As I made my way back to the study, the first light of dawn began to filter through the windows, dispelling the night shadows. The manor had tested my resolve, but I knew that to understand its mysteries, I had to continue digging deeper. The Night of Whispers had revealed just a glimpse of the manor's true nature, and I was only beginning to scratch the surface of the secrets that awaited me. With a renewed sense of purpose, I vowed to uncover the manor's hidden truths, even as the echoes of the night lingered in my mind. Silent Manor was not just a relic of the past. It was a living entity, and my journey within its walls was far from over. The days at Silent Manor blended into a monotonous routine of exploration and documentation. Each morning, the first light revealed more of the manor's hidden nooks and forgotten corners. Yet with every discovery, the sense of unease deepened. Determined to uncover the full extent of the manor's secrets, I pushed myself to delve further into its enigmatic past. One afternoon, while sifting through Eleanor's diaries, I stumbled upon a recurring mention of a hidden passage that supposedly connected different parts of the manor. Her frantic entries hinted at attempts to escape or perhaps to hide from something that haunted her. Intrigued and desperate for answers, I decided to search for this elusive passage. I began by retracing my steps from the previous nights, carefully examining the areas Eleanor had described. The library was my next destination, its vast collection of books a potential gateway to more hidden secrets. As I moved the heavy tomes and rearranged the shelves, I felt a growing frustration. Hours passed without any sign of a concealed entrance, and the oppressive silence of the manor seemed to weigh heavier with each passing moment. Just as I was about to give up, my flashlight caught a faint outline behind a particularly old bookshelf. Heart pounding, I pressed against the shelf, hoping for a hidden latch. To my relief, a section of the wall began to move, revealing a narrow corridor shrouded in darkness. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the passage, the air growing colder and the silence more profound. The corridor was cramped and dimly lit by flickering sconces that cast long, wavering shadows on the walls. The air felt thick, as if the passage itself was reluctant to let me pass. I followed the narrow path, my footsteps echoing softly, each step taking me deeper into the manor's labyrinthine heart. The further I went, the more the manor seemed to resist my intrusion, with subtle shifts in the layout that made the passage feel endless. After what felt like an eternity, the corridor opened into a small chamber that appeared to have once been a study. Dust-covered furniture and scattered papers hinted at the room's former use, but something felt off. The temperature dropped noticeably, and the oppressive silence was broken only by the distant sound of dripping water. I approached the center of the room, where an antique mirror stood against the far wall, its surface dull and tarnished. As I gazed into the mirror, the reflection seemed distorted, showing not just the room behind me, but glimpses of other parts of the manor. Faces blurred and flickered within the glass, their expressions shifting from curiosity to fear. I reached out to touch the mirror, but my hand met only a cold, unyielding surface. Suddenly, the mirror rippled like water, and an image formed, a door slowly closing in a long hallway. Startled, I stepped back, only to realize that the corridor I had just traversed was no longer visible in the reflection. Panic began to set in as I tried to retrace my steps, but the passage had changed. The walls seemed to pulse with an unseen energy, and the exit I had entered through was now an impenetrable barrier. Desperation clawed at me as I pounded against the walls, shouting for help, but my voice was swallowed by the manor's heavy silence. Determined not to succumb to fear, I searched the chamber for another way out. My eyes fell upon a heavy wooden desk in the corner, covered in layers of dust and forgotten papers. Among the debris, I found a map of the manor, intricately drawn with annotations and markings that indicated hidden rooms and secret passages. Using the map as my guide, I began to navigate the shifting corridors, each turn more disorienting than the last. Time seemed to lose all meaning as I wandered through the maze-like structure, the manor's layout constantly changing to thwart my progress. Every door I tried was locked tight, and every window revealed only more darkness. Exhaustion began to take its toll, my movements growing sluggish as I struggled to stay focused. The manor's oppressive atmosphere pressed in on me, making each breath a laborious effort. Just when I was on the verge of collapse, I stumbled upon a familiar corridor that matched the map's layout. My heart leapt with hope as I followed it, the walls seeming to stabilize around me. The corridor led me to a grand ballroom, its vast expanse eerily silent and bathed in the pale light of the setting sun streaming through the tall windows. The room was beautifully preserved, with ornate chandeliers and intricate moldings, but an unsettling stillness permeated the space. In the center of the ballroom stood an imposing double door, identical to the one I had encountered in the hidden corridor. This time, however, there was no resistance when I pushed against it. The door swung open smoothly, revealing a narrow staircase that descended into darkness. Taking a deep breath, I began to climb, the steps creaking under my weight. The staircase led to a subterranean level of the manor, a vast underground hall filled with old furniture and remnants of past lives. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay, and the faint sound of distant voices echoed through the space. As I moved deeper into the hall, the voices grew louder, their whispers blending into a haunting melody that tugged at my sanity. At the end of the hall, I found another mirror, similar to the one in the chamber above. This one, however, was intact, its surface clear and reflective. Standing before it, I took a moment to steady myself, the weight of the manor's history pressing down on me. I knew that uncovering the manor's secrets was only beginning, and that each closed door I encountered was a barrier between me and the truth. With renewed determination, I vowed to continue my search, no matter how many doors remained closed or how deep the manor's mysteries lay hidden. Silent Manor was a living entity, its walls whispering secrets that begged to be heard. And as I stood there in the underground hall, surrounded by echoes of the past, I realized that my journey was far from over. The manor had more to reveal, and I was ready to face whatever darkness awaited me in the shadows. The subterranean hall was a labyrinth of shadows and echoes, each step I took deepening the sense of foreboding that clung to Silent Manor. The air was heavy with the scent of mildew and decay, and the faint sound of distant voices seemed to guide me further into the heart of the manor's secrets. My flashlight pierced the darkness, revealing old furniture draped in white sheets and remnants of lives long forgotten. Every corner felt alive with unseen presence, every shadow a potential threat. As I moved deeper into the underground hall, the whispers grew louder, blending into a haunting melody that tugged at the edges of my sanity. The voices were indistinct, overlapping in a cacophony of sorrow and anger. I tried to focus on Eleanor's words from her diaries, hoping they would provide some clarity or guidance, but the noise made it impossible to concentrate. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing through the vast, empty space. Suddenly, the temperature dropped sharply, and I could see my breath misting in the cold air. A chill ran down my spine as I sensed movement in the darkness ahead. I approached cautiously, every nerve on edge, my flashlight trembling in my hand. As I reached a bend in the corridor, the whispers shifted into clear, mournful voices, speaking words I couldn't quite understand but felt deep within my soul. At the end of the hall stood another mirror, identical to the one above, but this one was pristine, its surface reflecting the dim light without distortion. I approached it slowly, mesmerized by its clarity. As I gazed into the mirror, the reflection began to change, showing not just the room behind me, but a different scene entirely. I saw Eleanor, standing alone in the grand ballroom, her face etched with fear as shadows danced around her. Her eyes met mine through the glass, pleading for help. Before I could react, the reflection shifted again, and I saw myself standing in the ballroom, trapped and surrounded by ghostly apparitions. The realization hit me hard. I was being shown a possible future, a vision of what could happen if I didn't uncover the manor's secrets. Panic surged through me, but I forced myself to stay calm, remembering Eleanor's determination to find the truth. Determined to find answers, I continued my exploration, following the map I had found in the hidden chamber. The corridor twisted and turned, leading me to a forgotten library on the subterranean level. The room was filled with ancient books and scrolls, their pages yellowed and brittle with age. In the center stood a large, ornate table covered in maps and documents, much like the one I had found earlier. As I began to sift through the papers, I discovered references to a hidden room that held the key to the manor's mysteries. According to the documents, this room was sealed off to contain a dark force that had once threatened the family. The more I read, the more I realized that Silent Manor was not just haunted by restless spirits, but by something far more malevolent. A sudden noise made me jump, a loud crash echoing through the library. I turned to see a bookcase sliding open, revealing a narrow passageway shrouded in darkness. My flashlight flickered as I approached, the air growing colder with each step. The whispers returned, louder and more insistent, as if urging me to proceed. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the passage, the door sliding shut behind me with a finality that sent shivers down my spine. The passage led to a small, dimly lit chamber with a single door at the far end. On the walls were intricate carvings depicting scenes of torment and anguish, their details obscured by the passage of time. In the center of the room stood a pedestal holding a weathered book, the key to unlocking the manor's darkest secrets. As I reached for it, the room seemed to come alive, the carvings pulsating with an eerie energy. As my fingers brushed the cover, a surge of cold energy coursed through me, and the whispers transformed into anguished screams. The spirits of Silent Manor were restless, their pain and anger palpable in the air. I opened the book, revealing pages filled with ancient symbols and cryptic writings. The text seemed to shift and change before my eyes, making it difficult to decipher any meaning. Desperate to understand, I focused on the words, trying to piece together the manor's tragic history. The book told of a curse that had been placed on the family, binding their souls to the manor for eternity. The dark force was a manifestation of their collective sorrow and rage, feeding off the negative emotions that permeated the house. To break the curse, one had to confront the source of the darkness and offer peace to the restless spirits. As I read, the chamber grew colder, and the presence of the dark force became more tangible. Shadows coalesced into a towering figure, its form shifting and undulating with malevolent intent. The entity reached out towards me, its eyes burning with a hunger that threatened to consume my very being. Fear gripped me, but I knew that turning back was not an option. I had to finish what Eleanor had started, to free the manor from its eternal torment. Summoning every ounce of courage, I began to chant the incantation written in the book, my voice wavering but determined. The dark force recoiled, its form flickering as the power of the words took hold. The whispers and screams intensified, creating a whirlwind of sound that threatened to overwhelm me. But I pressed on, driven by the need to bring peace to Silent Manor and honor those who had suffered within its walls. As the final words left my lips, a blinding light filled the chamber, and the dark force let out a final, anguished roar before dissipating into the ether. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a profound sense of calm. The carvings on the walls faded, and the whispers became gentle, soothing murmurs. I collapsed to the floor, exhausted but victorious, knowing that the curse had been broken. Silence enveloped the manor once more, but this time it was peaceful, free from the torment that had plagued it for so long. I stood up, the weight of the past lifting from my shoulders, and made my way back through the passageway. The manor felt different now, lighter and more welcoming, as if it were finally able to breathe freely after centuries of suffering. As I emerged from the underground hall, the first rays of dawn bathed Silent Manor in a warm, golden light. The manor stood majestically, no longer shrouded in darkness and fear, but radiant with the promise of a new beginning. I felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that I had played a part in restoring peace to this haunted place. But as I looked back at the manor, I couldn't shake the feeling that something still lingered, a residual presence that had yet to find its place. The journey was not entirely over, and there were still mysteries left to uncover. Silent Manor had revealed its darkest secrets, but it also hinted at deeper layers of its enigmatic existence. With a final glance, I turned and began to explore the newly peaceful manor, eager to discover what other stories lay hidden within its walls. The encounters in the darkness had tested my courage and resolve, but they had also strengthened my determination to understand and preserve the history of Silent Manor. The shadows had lifted, but the echoes of the past continued to resonate, guiding me toward the final revelations that awaited in the chapters to come. The morning sun bathed Silent Manor in a serene light, casting away the shadows that had long haunted its halls. After the intense confrontation with the dark force, the atmosphere within the manor had noticeably shifted. The oppressive weight that once pressed down on every room was gone, replaced by a calm that felt almost surreal. I stood in the grand ballroom, taking in the beauty of the space, now free from the lingering darkness. The ornate chandeliers sparkled, reflecting the newfound peace that seemed to permeate every corner of the house. As I walked through the manor, the halls echoed with a gentle stillness, the whispers that had plagued me for so long reduced to faint, soothing murmurs. It was as if the house itself was breathing a sigh of relief, finally able to rest after centuries of suffering. I felt a deep sense of accomplishment, knowing that I had played a part in freeing Silent Manor from its eternal torment. Yet, there was an undeniable feeling that my journey was not entirely complete. Returning to the study where it all began, I noticed the air was different, lighter, almost invigorating. Eleanor's diaries lay open on the desk, their pages no longer filled with fear and despair, but with hope and gratitude. Her final entry read, "Asterisk, the darkness has lifted, and peace has been restored to Silent Manor. May this place serve as a sanctuary for all who seek solace and understanding. The past is no longer a chain, but a foundation for a brighter future." Asterisk, tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the depth of Eleanor's connection to this place. Her spirit had found peace, and in doing so, had guided me to do the same. I took a moment to reflect on the experiences that had brought me here. The fear, the courage, and the unyielding determination to uncover the truth. Silent Manor was no longer a place of dread, but a testament to resilience and redemption. As I prepared to leave, I decided to take one last walk through the manor. The rooms that had once been filled with shadows now welcomed the light, revealing their true beauty. The library, once a place of hidden secrets, now stood as a repository of knowledge and history, its shelves no longer concealing dark passages, but inviting exploration and learning. In the hallway, I found the hidden passage that had once seemed like a barrier, but now felt like a pathway to understanding. The map I had used to navigate the manor lay on the floor, its lines no longer shifting but clear and definitive. It was a symbol of the clarity I had gained through my ordeal, a reminder that every mystery has its solution, and every darkness its dawn. As I reached the front door, I paused to take one last look at Silent Manor. The house stood majestically against the backdrop of the morning sky, no longer shrouded in fear, but radiant with possibility. I felt a profound connection to the place, as if it had become a part of me, just as I had become a part of its story. The manor had given me more than solitude. It had given me a purpose and a story to share with others. Stepping outside, the fresh air filled my lungs, and I felt a sense of liberation. The path that once seemed overgrown and foreboding now appeared welcoming and clear. As I drove away from Silent Manor, the house receded into the distance, its silhouette standing tall and proud. I glanced in the rearview mirror one last time, catching a glimpse of the manor bathed in sunlight, a silent guardian of the secrets it once held. The journey had changed me in ways I couldn't fully comprehend. I had faced my deepest fears, uncovered long-buried truths, and emerged stronger for it. Silent Manor had been more than just a house. It was a catalyst for transformation, a place where the past and present intertwined to create a narrative of courage and hope. As the road stretched out before me, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The stories I had uncovered within Silent Manor were now a part of me, and I was eager to share them with the world. My YouTube channel would not just be a collection of terrifying tales, but a tribute to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of uncovering the truth. In the days that followed, I returned to Silent Manor often, not to uncover more secrets, but to honor those who had found peace within its walls. The manor had given me a story worth telling, one that resonated with the essence of fear, courage, and redemption. Each narration became a bridge between the living and the spirits that had once been trapped, ensuring that their stories would never be forgotten. Silent Manor remained a beacon of mystery and tranquility, its legacy now intertwined with mine. The final silence that had once been a source of dread was now a symbol of peace, a reminder that even the darkest places hold the potential for light. As I continued to share my experiences, I realized that the true horror was not just in the supernatural events, but in the struggle to uncover and understand the truth. And in that understanding, there was a profound sense of peace. My journey with Silent Manor had come full circle, transforming a place of fear into a sanctuary of stories. The manor stood as a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, and my role as its storyteller ensured that its legacy would live on, whispered softly through the ages, never to be forgotten.